the game. You don't play to just play it. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! Can't wait! Let's go!
What is good? Sideline to sideline. I am the Godfrey, and it's Kyle Edwards next to me, to my left, to the right. Depends how you have the layout, whatever it may be.
Right.
A lot going on this week in football. Lots of upsets. So we'll take we'll give you some opinions on what happened in this past week in football, and some upsets. Your squad there, the Patriots, had a little bit of an upset, huh?
They did. I mean, it was easily their best win in the season. They looked like a team that, like an actual NFL team. A lot of weeks they'd go in and out. People were wondering if they knew what they were doing, what was going on. But maybe this win over Buffalo could propel them for the next couple of weeks because they got a tough one this week. But I was definitely proud of them getting the win.
Yeah, man, I did not expect that wouldn't happen. It did. And I thought that the Bills were going to come back. One thing that I noticed in that game, not to take any thunder away from your squad there, but there's a trend in the NFL that's really bothering me, and I don't get it. Do you know where I'm going to go with this?
Not sure.
Coaches electing to not take 3 points. Okay?
Yes.
And playing the analytics move. Now, that game, the way it played out toward the end, Buffalo went for a touchdown instead of taking the 3 points in a very makeable field goal range. That could change the outcome. Or, did they lose by 5 points, I believe? Or was it more than that? How many points is it?
4.
4 points.
Yep.
Now, that could have changed the trajectory of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You lose by 4 points if you kick that field goal. Now you're trying to kick a field goal instead of score a touchdown, right?
Right.
There's a lot of NFL coaches. I would say young offensive coordinators because I don't believe the Buffalo Bills coach, who's a defensive guy, was probably calling that. I would have overruled him if I was a defensive guy and I was the head coach. I said, you're kicking a field goal here, overruled.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches do that. I believe Bill Belichick will kick a field goal in that instance.
Yep.
Brandon Staley won't. That's why he loses a lot of games he shouldn't lose.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of coaches do this, and it's maddening to me because I don't understand. They're giving away the game, and why do you even have a field goal kicker, right? Like, I see the Ravens do it. They have Justin Tucker. Just take the points.
Yep.
Right? It's the NFL, right? So instead of if you're behind and you're looking to score a touchdown, I get the math of it with the 2-point conversion, right? But if you get the 3 points, now you might not need as many points to come back. You're not going to need a whole touchdown, and you're changing the trajectory of the game or the way you can approach the game. And I get being aggressive. They used to call it the gray zone or the maroon zone when you get to the other side of the 40, toward the end zone.
Yep.
And there was a lot of old school guys that said, "What's the point of punting at that point?" Bill Parcells was one of those guys. But this is kind of crazy to me because there is a such thing as field position, and you have to spend more time on the clock to get a touchdown than you do a field goal. Your approach completely changes, especially when you're running a 2-minute offense. I mean, just think about the Patriots on the Super Bowls they won with a field goal, right?
Yep.
Imagine if they're doing that, they don't have a shot, right? The Eagles when they beat them, love to bring that up. There were several field goals they hit. They did also go for it in those games as well. And definitely I wasn't comfortable when they did, but they were successful. But they also didn't negate the field goals. And it's just a trend. I mean, am I crazy, Kyle? Or are you seeing this in the NFL as well? All over the league, not just Buffalo.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's something like it's the cool thing to do now. It's to go for it on 4th down. And, they always show on the broadcast like, oh, the analytics say go or field goal. And it's like, I get it. Analytics are more part of sports now, but there's also got to be a sense where just giving up points early in the game, late in the game, whatever, can affect you late in the game, like you said, because now in instances where maybe a field goal wins it for you, you're now having to drive down the field and score a touchdown, which puts more pressure offensively on play calling. So a lot of these teams, it's like they don't think about that. It's just in the moment, we'll just go for it. Which, I mean, if you get it, yes, it could be a momentum thing, but sometimes you just have to be smart about it, especially depending on who you're playing as well.
Yeah, I just don't, if you have a defense that you think won't be able to keep up, like, I'm going to give the Eagles as another example here. And the reason why, part of the reason I think that they were so aggressive in that Super Bowl is because they knew what their defense could and couldn't do.
Right.
Right. And so they knew they were going to have to steal some possessions and steal some points. And I get being aggressive when it's everything's on the line. There is no tomorrow type of approach. But in week 8, week 7, week 9, week 10, it doesn't make, you got to let the game play out. And I just, even Josh McDaniels, like, what an idiot. He's losing the locker room. I think, these younger coaches, especially, it doesn't make any sense. I get the analytics of it, but, you can take analytics and twist them to look like, the result that you desire. People do it all the time in business and sports, etc. So it's annoying to me. It's something I constantly see in the NFL, and it makes no sense. And I'm like, do you want to win? Right. And it just, losing coaches do that. John Harbaugh does it all the time in the Ravens. I don't get it. You have the best kicker in the league. Stop. Kick, take the points. So at the end of the day, listen, the Browns and Dustin Hopkins kicked 1 million field goals last week. Kudos to them. I mean, if you had him on your fantasy team, it was a 22-point bomb right there from your kicker. So I had him on a lot. Somebody told me to pick him up. Didn't think I was getting that. But anyway, another game I wanted to bring up. The Niners. Hi, I'm here. The problem, it's you. And now, Sam Darnold is probably going to be starting this week. So you get your wish, Kyle Shanahan. So I've been saying this all year. I had a hot take about them making the playoffs. They're probably going to make the playoffs. But all year, I've been saying, get after the passer. I bet the money. If you don't believe me, I got the receipts. I bet them to lose. I took +7 because I wasn't too sure about Kirk Cousins on primetime. But I want to give you a stat that's daunting about Kyle Shanahan.
Okay.
As the coach, when they're behind by 8 points, I believe they're 0-36.
That's interesting.
Right?
That's not even that big of a deficit necessarily, but it kind of shows front running.
Right. So some of these teams, like, I like Jalen because he could drive the ball down the field. Dak can't drive the ball down the field when he has to pass. 49ers quarterbacks generally can't do that because of the way they play. Right? They have to play from ahead. And I said to my friend who's a Vikings fan, I was talking to him. I don't know if he's listening. I mean, if he supported me and he was a good friend, he would listen to the show. So, F all my friends that want to call me during my podcast. Dude, does that happen to you? Do you get phone calls during the podcast? Like, people know you do a podcast. They're like, oh, when do you do the podcast? You tell them, and then they're like, oh, I think I'll give them a call. Does that happen to you?
I don't have that.
All right, it's just me.
Yeah.
So, point of me is, I was telling him, I said, dude, if you guys get up by 10 points, you're going to win this game. And then I live bet it because I knew. Because they pushed him off his spot. Also, not having Trent Williams, not having Debo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the week before, let's not make excuses for them, though, because the Vikings didn't have their best player.
True.
And part of the reason I did +7, okay, was Kirk Cousins was playing primetime. Okay? We all know how good he is not during primetime games. We've seen it time and time again. But they couldn't beat him. They were getting success with players like Brandon Powell against this defense. Cam Akers came out of nowhere. He rose like it was Easter and it was Jesus rising. You know what I mean? like Cam Akers come out of nowhere from the ashes. All right. You got Kirk Cousins throwing balls. Jordan Addison made a hell of a play after he got an interception stripped from him. He stripped one from Shadavius Ward, right? And you can expose that Nick Bosa went missing. They should have put a milk carton out with his face on it. And you know what? Guess what? Vikings have a pretty decent offensive line. They're coming together, and they did it without their best player. T.J. Hawkinson, good player, and I was impressed. You know, that game, Kirk Cousins missed a couple of throws that should have been touchdowns. Well, Madison didn't run a good route. He should have caught a touchdown. And then, you know, there was another one where he missed Addison wide open, and they probably would have won by 8 more points. And to me, the 49ers are getting exposed. Okay, if you're a good defense and you can move their quarterback off their spot, much like the Eagles dealt with Tua, similar offense. Remember, Mike McDaniel came from the Kyle Shanahan school.
Yep.
Okay, guess what? You can beat those teams, as much talent as they have. Now, everybody's talking about Brock Purdy like he's the guy, he's the next guy. I'm not here to rag on the 49ers. I'm just saying everybody's power rankings out there, your power rankings are fraudulent. Fraudulent. They played nobody. The Dolphins played nobody. Mm-hmm. When they come to Philly, they're going to get rickrolled by the Eagles. Guaranteed. If all is healthy, Jalen Carter's going to eat them for breakfast, okay? Mm-hmm. Trent Williams will be there. Yeah, he could block. He can't block the edge in the middle at the same time, my friend. And if they can't handle that Vikings D, they're not going to be able to handle the Eagles D. As long as all things are equal health-wise. And, Kyle Shanahan has a system that works in a sense where you got to throw your ball to a spot. But when you get that timing and that rhythm off, there's going to be a problem. And they don't have the versatility or athleticism at the position to improvise on the fly, where you got a guy like Jalen Hurts that can do that, or a Patrick Mahomes, or a Josh Allen even. And that's just the truth of the matter. He can't drive the ball, and you saw interceptions. Bynum had a field day with this guy.
Yep.
I was all over that in IDP leagues. That's in fantasy world where you play an individual defensive player. I had him, picked him up off the waivers. I will not be getting rid of that kid. I think he's a good talent. And I will tell you that they were exposed. So that was a game of note last week. Did you have any other games of note that were interesting to you?
I mean, I thought going into it like the Chiefs Chargers, only because I feel like a lot of people are looking at the Chargers and just wondering, when will they put it together? How good is this group? Everything like that. So they had an opportunity against the Chiefs team to prove some doubters wrong, and then kind of got the same story with them. Offensively, they can look good at times, but usually when you up the competition, they don't look great. Herbert can be a little erratic with his accuracy when kind of in the biggest moments. And once again, it's just like the Chiefs are obviously the class of that division. Nobody in that division seems to be ready to step up to challenge them.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be the same old story again this year.
I'm still waiting for that signature Chiefs loss that they get every year where you're like, how did they lose to this team? It seems like once a year they do that. Last year it was the Colts.
Yep.
This year, I feel like the Broncos might rip one off on them or someone that you're like, what the hell? It's going to be a team that could run the ball on them. But, yeah, I mean, that I agree with you there 100%. And Andy Reid, his teams just do well. You know what I mean? His teams just do well.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. So there are a couple other games. The Eagles game was of note, but, there's a lot of trade rumors going on. We'll talk about that real quick, right? I keep hearing a rumor. People are saying it to me like it's a done deal, but I don't see anywhere it is that Derrick Henry is going to be a Buffalo Bill. Is that true? I don't know, but that's the rumor that I'm hearing that's strong out there. Mm-hmm. Obviously the Titans are going on a fire sale. I think there's a possibility that Tannehill even gets traded to possibly the Atlanta Falcons, reuniting with Arthur Smith. They seem like Desmond Ridder there.
Yeah, I see Tannehill being moved more likely for some reason, but
yeah.
And even if Derrick Henry went to Buffalo, would they use him?
I think so. I mean, why not? I mean, listen, this is where the Eagles and the Buffalo Bills have to approve is the red zone efficiency inside the 20. Eagles got to run the ball better in there. Okay. Mm-hmm. They have to. They got to get better with it, and I'm not talking about Jalen Hurts getting hurt, getting injured. Like they got to just keep him doing that. Josh Allen, same thing. He gets dinged up, and you need a guy like a Derrick Henry. I think that would add an element to their team. It's going to make James Cook a little less worthless for fantasy owners out there, but I think it'll add an element to their team. I would definitely do it because here's the simple fact of the matter: if they're smart with their defense, losing people like Matt Milano for the season, what they need to do is eat the clock and
Yep.
keep the other team off the field. And if you can do that, then you can control the outcome. Now the Eagles are a lot better at that. They got a better offensive line, but I think the Bills could do that. I think that'd be a great landing spot for him. Another team that I think would be smart to go after him. I don't know if he fits their system. Would be the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, I think they should go after him. I think they need a running back there. The team. I'm also hearing that I'm seeing some wild trade rumors out there. I'm looking at it and I'm like, really? Is this real? I'm like, I don't, it's lie season when it comes to trades. And I do think you're right about that. There was another team he was rumored to go to too, and I can't forget that. But the Eagles got Kevin Bayard. Let me hear what you think from an outsider's perspective, because I'm an Eagles fan. I'm painting the colors here. People are going to be like, well, this guy, of course, he's going to be like, whatever. What do you think about that trade that the Eagles made?
I think it's just them identifying the issues that they've had. We've seen it certain weeks where teams have attacked their defense down the middle of the field because of the injuries or whatever in the secondary. So they go out and they get a guy in Bayard who, is a big hitter and an upgrade because they're trying to shore that up. I thought it was a good move from them. I was a little surprised that Tennessee maybe made that move because I feel like Tennessee was in a position where, they probably could straddle the fence a little bit because they're not completely out of it or anything like that. But the season still is not going as well as a lot of their fans would have hoped. So I guess maybe that move does lead to a Derrick Henry move.
Where's Jury at? She on here? We talk about these Titans.
I mean,
Gene don't show up. She don't show up. Jury, where are you at? I'm messaging her right after the show. I'm like, yo. So I think the Titans are selling. It's Will Levis season, so we're gonna see what he's made of. They haven't really fully committed to him though. I feel it's kind of weird where you're like, well, Malik Willis will get some snaps too. Like, is this college? Like, are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Are we co-quarterbacking? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what Willis is going to bring. DeAndre Hopkins, we told you not to go there, but you did. Okay. And you're going to pay the price now. So now you got to play with garbage quarterbacks again. Maybe these kids pan out. Willis has looked a little bit better. Not great. So we'll see. But it's just the Eagles deserve credit for worrying about the moment, figuring out later on. I think he means like he's echoing what you said there, Kyle. Listen, the Eagles, that's what we love about Howie. You call it Howie season right now. And I think as an Eagles fan, I love that move. I think he's better than Gardner Johnson. Might not be a popular opinion. I think Bayard is a more complete safety. Gardner Johnson was a cornerback before. Bayard's a safety. Back to a Reed Blankenship, we got a lot of depth. I think you move Cindy Brown to the slot and you put James Bradbury back on the outside. That's what I think you should do. I don't know if the Eagles will do that, but that's what I think they should do. Other trade ideas I have out there that I think would be a good fit. I know Delvin Cook is on the trade block. Ideally, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I'm trading for Delvin Cook. That's my guy. He's on a 1-year deal. He's still got some burst. He'll fit perfectly in that offense, I think. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. He could run the ball still. That's a good offensive line. Lamar runs the ball. It's going to give him some space.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, what? I mean, you got to be able to get him for what, like a 5th, 6th round pick? Like, go get him. What are they waiting for? You want to wait for Keaton Mitchell to come off the IR that got injured after he breathed there last week? Like, what are we looking at in Baltimore? Like, come on, guys. Like,
remember, Baltimore supposed to have this spread them out, high flying offense. I mean, we saw a little bit of that against Detroit. Maybe they think they don't need the high profile running back. They'll go with Gus Edwards and
can we talk about the Detroit Lions real quick?
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into the games coming up, but we're going with the Godfrey format right here. So we're doing a little bit. We're gonna go ADHD, go over the place. We're gonna go with the flow here. This is
Sounds
how we
good.
roll.
Yeah.
I'm spinning the records, and the record right now is getting spun to: are the Detroit Lions a fraud, or are they not? Were they exposed last week, and are they really as good as their record would indicate?
I mean, I think with them, it's a situation where after so many years of them being lovable losers and everything, that they're finding out what it's like to be a favorite. Past years that they, won that Chiefs game opening week, that could carry them throughout, a lot of weeks. But now it's like people are starting to figure out when they play at home and when they play on the road, completely different. Luckily for them in that division, the Bears aren't ready. The Packers look like the team that was going to hang with them, but they've fallen off. Now we'll see with the Vikings if the Niners win does anything for them. Because I did pick the Vikings to win that division before the season started. I
Oh,
do
look
feel,
at you holding on to hope.
hey, I feel a little bit better about it, but
My Vikings friend will love you for that comment, and we've been in many arguments about it. But I gotta admit, that's after things are playing out, it's looking more plausible that is actually a possibility for them to make a run
yeah,
for the division. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Um, especially with Jordan Addison, man, he balled out. He really
yeah.
balled out on Monday. I mean, he looked like a 1A receiver,
Hmm.
you know. So I mean, you got some talent on that offense. I think that's another team that should be in the trade market too, right? For a running back. I mean, I don't know if I believe in Cam Akers long term just because of his physical. He's not the same after that Achilles injury. It's hard to come back for those. But I think the Lions. This is where they messed up, and I've said this before on the show. Okay, and I've heard other people talk about it, and I agree with the train of thought. Trading back for Jahmyr Gibbs was a mistake. You had DeAndre Swift. He's at least equal, if not better, than Jahmyr Gibbs. We'll say they're equal just for argument's sake. You
Hmm.
could have got a Jalen Carter. You could have got a defensive player to pair with an Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
That game isn't a blowout last week if you had a Jalen Carter or another guy on there because they wouldn't be able to just run over the field and do whatever they did. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I mean, they would be able to do whatever they wanted, but they're not because their defense isn't as good as they needed to be. Now, Jared Goff isn't as good on the road, okay? But let's be real here. You're gonna have to get over that if you're gonna be a contender. I have seen them have better road games. I wasn't convinced, and if David Montgomery is gonna sink your offense, man, that says a lot. You need more
Yeah.
depth to your offensive plan. And to get rickrolled like that at 38-6 was embarrassing. I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't know if they're real, but at the same time, I think the Ravens aren't any different than they are any other. If Lamar stays healthy, I just don't see them going far. I see them winning a lot of games. See them making the playoffs, possibly. Records aren't going to be indicative of the results by week 17. I mean, every team is 4-2 in that division, or am I right? Or no, the Bengals aren't 4-2, but the Browns are. The Steelers are, so they're beating up on each other like we said we would. But that's another game that was interesting too. I know there was a lot of questionable calls, but the Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett is a beast.
Yes, absolutely.
Play probably didn't get enough tension. Now remember, when you jump over someone when they're kicking a field goal, you can't touch them. He cleared them from a standing position pretty much. I think you could run a little bit and block the kick.
Mm-hmm.
He's special. That defense is good, man. If Deshaun Watson can get his shoulder fixed or I just think he's cursed or something at this point. I mean, maybe it's karma, maybe it's not. I mean, they pulled off 2 wins with PJ Walker, and one of them was the 49ers. I know there was a missed field goal, but listen, the 49ers should have handled them with PJ Walker. You can't be in a position to miss a field goal and lose a game. So you can't make excuses there with the 49ers and whiners.
Also, that's come to trend as well. Moody has been a little inaccurate for the Niners at the kicking position.
You know why? Because Kyle Shanahan is smarter than the next guy. He drafted a kicker in the 5th round.
Yep.
That was a Belichickian type of move with 3 tight ends in the draft that one year. Anyway, you had to be screaming as but like, what are we doing here? But
Yeah.
put Jury's comment up there about the Titans trading Derrick Henry for 2 to 3 years. I just read it. Rumors have the listen. You're right, Jury, but here's the difference now. If you're the Titans, Tajay Spears has looked good in limited play. How far are you going to go? And if you wait another year based off the tread on the tires, he's going to have even less trade value. So if you could get someone to give you an asset for him, you're finding out what you have at the quarterback position. The franchise is saying, we're not going anywhere this year. Let's blow it up. Now, remember, if I'm correct, this is the first year of this GM. The last one was fired. But for some reason, the Eagles got the plug in to get that inventory from. We got the plug, Titans. All right, yeah, Kevin Bayer, yeah. We'll get you a 10-pack of tacos with that too. Thanks. Like, I'm just saying, like Howie, they're gonna be like, yeah, this is Howie Roseman. He's gonna start getting click, because he's fleeced him. I mean, but the point is, whether he fleeced him or not, I think they're going into rebuild mode and they're trying to gather assets. I mean, people have been talking about that for 2 to 3 years with Derrick Henry, and I agree. But at this time, this is the time. If you're gonna trade him, you trade him now. If you're not gonna trade him, you're never gonna trade him. This is the time. This is the market for him, and he's still got some pop left. And you got a young guy in the waiting in Tajay Spears, and I think Tajay Spears can fulfill that role. I think he's a good back. I've been on him coming out of college. I got him on all my fantasy teams because I'm waiting for that trade to happen. So I might be a little biased here, but I do think that the rumors have some steam. But Jury is right; they have been talking about that. But the difference is that they're losing games this year that last year they would have won, or the year before that, rather. Where you're like, how are the Titans the number 1 seed, and they're winning those games, those close games? They're not winning those close games now. They're losing those games. You know, you signed DeAndre Hopkins. You're hoping that puts some juice in your passing game. Tannehill's hurt. You know what I mean? And he's not really doing what he got to do. Now you guys are starting Will Levis. It's sell time. I mean, would you agree with me, Kyle? You think it's sell time or it's not?
I mean, part of me thinks is it something where, because of what Derrick Henry's meant to the team and everything like that, is it something where they're just going to wait and see if it's his wishes to be moved, then they'll do it. If he tells them, look, I want to be a Titan for life, I'm staying here, then maybe they just don't do it. I mean, I do agree with what you're saying. Like, if you're looking at the situation the Titans are in, where you're starting Will Levis and, like I said, Spears as a backup, it would make sense because you would just tell the fan base, look, we moved from Derrick Henry because we're going to usher in Spears and we're going to see what we got with him. I think Titans fans would be like, okay, that makes sense. But it's just, I think for a lot of teams, it's difficult to give up a guy in Derrick Henry that's just so important to their team.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it could be coming from him, though. Maybe he wants a ring, and it doesn't look like they're Super Bowl contenders this year. And he was only got
that's why I think, like, if that's the direction of where these rumors are coming from, then I think Tennessee will, out of respect for him, oblige and move him somewhere where he can be in a better situation to win now. Because Derrick Henry knows, hey, I might have 2 more years left in me. I'm getting to that 30 line, and we know running backs like Derrick Henry with a lot of yards on their tires.
Mm-hmm.
When they drop off, it's steep. So he's trying to capitalize, and you can't be mad at that.
He's gonna have to make a call to Ray Lewis, like, yo, where's your deer antler spray guy at? And remember that right before he retired, they got to record him and go like, yo, man, let me get that deer antler spray. It was on the phone. People forget about that. They literally caught him a recording of it.
Such a weird story because I had never heard a deer antler like that, and I was just like, what could be so great about deer antler?
Yeah,
like, athletes will find whatever way they can.
Yeah, man. Romanowski, see that interview with him, and he'll tell you how far they'll go. It's crazy. Romanowski is a madman.
Yes.
But with that being said, folks, we'll move on to the next game. So trade rumors. I mean, there's tons of trade rumors flying around. Tons. A lot of it, when you hear it, is just fans on their blogs or, media outlets trying to create content, talk about possible trades. People like to think about it, talk about it. But it is trade season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So What is this week? Are we in week 8? Am I getting my NFL weeks right?
Yes.
Are we in week
It's
9?
week 8.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. I've been putting that on there on all these posts, and I'm like, I hope I'm right that it's NFL week 8. So, a couple other notes last week, games that were kind of interesting. Cooper Cup got shut down by the Steelers day one. They looked a little bit better on the road, although I argue it's not really a road game because it's in LA.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the Chargers Chiefs. I think you brought up some good points there. Broncos seem to eke out a win against the Packers. I wanted to talk about that. Jordan Love has really come down to earth, right?
Yep.
I mean, people were saying, oh, the Packers got another good one. Joke is God's a Packers fan because they always get a good quarterback, right?
Right. Yep.
He's looked awful. And I want to rewind the tape. I believe I talked about it on the show. The real number one receiver there is Romeo Doubs. It's not Christian Watson, people.
Yep. You were on that one. Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, you can see it. One, because he's not getting the distribution or the targets from his quarterback because he's not playing well. Two, he's not a clean route runner. He's a fast guy. He's a field stretcher.
Mm-hmm.
I know people don't want to hear this in Green Bay, but he's MVS 2.0. MVS 2.0.
Yeah,
okay.
That's not good. Not good.
Fast and big. I'm throwing fire here, guys. You got fires. MVS 2.0. You ain't going to be able to put that fire out. I was dead nuts on about Romeo Doubs. He's the cleaner route runner. He's the more polished receiver. And at the end of the season, he will be, stats-wise, the better receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed. Now, the effect that we'll name this, I will call it the Chase Claypool effect. Okay. What is that? That is where a rookie has a 3-touchdown game, and then they get a couple touchdowns on top of that, and people take those 3 or 4 games and then extrapolate that into, oh, he's going to be awesome, and you expect it next year. You're not going to get that kind of touchdown efficiency. The next one you're going to see, Jordan Addison's been great.
Mm-hmm.
He's scoring touchdowns like crazy. But can he keep that efficiency up? I highly doubt it, especially when Justin Jefferson comes back.
Right.
Not saying he's bad, but I'm saying you can't be expecting 2 touchdowns from this guy a week. He's on a tear right now. I mean, if he keeps this up, he's going to obliterate the rookie touchdown record. But I got to tell you, Green Bay, man, they look lost. Their offense looks lost. I don't know if Aaron Jones was, kind of hurt, and they sort of played him. A.J. Dillon, they're part of trade rumors for running backs. Mm-hmm. A.J. Dillon is, he seems to lack vision. He doesn't cut well. He's a north-south runner. We always knew that.
Yep.
So, even since last year, I never really believed he would ever become the guy, okay? And he's not going to become the guy, I guarantee you. Mm-hmm. And you could tell because they drafted multiple running backs, and they're talking about running backs trade rumors. Aaron Jones, if the trade deadline went later on, I would be making a play for Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is still serviceable. He just hurt his hamstring, came back a little bit too early, and maybe they were out of the game, and he decided not to do it last week, whatever it was. Matt LaFleur looks confused. Jordan Love looks confused. They all look confused. And they got beat by the Broncos, who's a team that was reeling. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people had the Packers beating the Broncos, probably including myself. And they didn't. I mean, and there's a team where I have him as my starting quarterback, and it's a deep league, and I'm scared shitless. Justin Fields and Jordan Love, my 2 quarterbacks, and woo, I'm like, man, it's rough out here in these streets. So, yeah, man, they just. They're not it,
Mm-hmm. But I also wonder with Jordan Love, though. It's like it's basically his rookie season.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we've seen this with rookie quarterbacks, but for some reason now we're starting to see the narratives in the media again that, oh, Jordan Love isn't the guy. Should Jordan Love be the starting quarterback next year? And it's like it's his first year. He's going to go through these ups and downs. It's whether or not
and that's fair.
Floor and that coaching staff can get him out of it and help him progress. If not, then yeah, you should ask that question. But I think you should give him more time.
I agree. I think he has the physical talent. I just think that people are like, oh, is he going to be the next Green Bay quarterback? Because they've been so blessed with that, right? In the past. It might take a little bit longer. If you really look at the trajectory of a quarterback, like you can't expect this is what is like 8th start, maybe career. He's only got 8 starts under his belt. he's got to adjust to the speed of the game. He sat for a while, so people expect him to be plug and play.
Yep.
I'm a big believer in sitting quarterback. Matt Holmes sat his whole first year.
Yep.
Okay. And I think that what they really have to do there and what's really exposing them is the lack of running game. They need Aaron Jones. Without Aaron Jones, they are in trouble on that offense. He's good in the screen game. He could take the ball and take it to the house. They need a healthy Aaron Jones. And without that, they're going to struggle on offense. The struggle bus is there in Green Bay. I'm sorry, cheeseheads. The struggle bus is there, and it's parked right in front of Lambeau right now. Yep. So it might go away. Madden might come down from the heavens, drive the bus away, and you're good.
Right.
But right now, it's growing pain season. So I had them competing for the division. It's looking like the Lions, but I think the Vikings can make a push. They're convincing me. I mean, that was a big win for them on Monday night.
Yeah.
I think it's good. So let's see. Other games I know I'm flying through. We talked about Browns, Colts, Falcons, Buccaneers. That's another team too. Let's talk about the Buccaneers. They're frauds, right? I mean, we've seen that Baker isn't. He has hit his ceiling. The Falcons won. The Buccaneers aren't it. I mean,
you can say that for that whole division. Like, who is in that division? Because the Falcons can win at home, can on the road. They're run dependent. Although Ritter's been marginally better, I guess, the past couple of weeks. The Saints seem like they should be the odds-on favorite because of just sheer talent, but it hasn't been there all season.
Yeah,
the Panthers are kind of who a lot of people thought they were. Although a lot of people thought before the season maybe the Panthers could do a surprise run in that division because a lot of people thought Bryce Young was going to come in and kind of hit the ground running. Hasn't happened. So
let's talk about the Panthers real quick. Okay. So this is going to be an unpopular opinion. If Gene was on here, he'd probably blow his stack. I think Bryce Young's too small to be the quarterback. They took him out to throw. I think they had to take him out to do a QB sneak. I was watching. I think he's too frail. I could be wrong. Maybe he's not. I just don't see it right now. More so, definitely CJ Stroud has outplayed him. Okay, to this point, maybe he needs to develop more. But they're stuck. I mean, they traded away their pick, and the Bears, if they keeps going back, and the Bears seem to be a little resurgent, but the Bills are going to have too high picks. And when I look at Bryce Young, I don't see anything that's like I can grab onto him. Like, oh man, yeah, that's it. He has something there. That's something we can build on. He hasn't shown me that yet. I don't know if he will. He might. I've been proven wrong before, but I'm not seeing that. And I just, they traded up to get him. You got to make sure if you're going up the one to get a guy, like that's got to be the guy. And the most damning thing is when you see Andy Dalton in there. I mean, he has better performances with the receivers. It's obvious, and maybe it's because lack of experience. Again, it's a good story. I'm not seeing it yet. You bringing up the Panthers kind of triggered me. I was like, oh yeah. Let's talk about that. Talk about those. You keep pounding Panthers. There's another thing that I wanted to bring up too, and I forgot concerning Atlanta. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. You live in Atlanta?
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about Bijan Gate. Okay. I'm going to name it that right now. Okay, listen. I have a very strong opinion on this, boys and girls. All right. In the age of betting, in the age of fantasy football, no one would give a shit about that game.
Yep.
If it wasn't for betting or fantasy football. No one would give a fuck about the game. I'm sorry. Family show. Sorry, Roku. No one would give a damn about that. All right.
Right.
And the reason is because they want to see Bijan play. And I'm of the mindset that you should know it should be public information because of betting. Remember, the states and the cities are making money off this betting. They're getting tax money. They have a responsibility to have an honest product. Sometimes the states are running these products. Bijan not being in, the NFL started to investigate it. And I think the NFL doesn't want to see it go the way of the NBA. And the NBA has addressed too. Oh, we're resting a player. Now, I don't think they purposely rested him. Mm-hmm. I think he had something going on and they hit it all week. Had to be. Now, my thing is you're saying he has a headache, but you gave him a couple of run in late in the fourth quarter. He's not feeling well. Why? What's going on here? Doesn't make any sense. I think they messed up as an organization. I think that was dreadful. I don't think it's good for the game of football. I think, especially when it comes to a star player like him, come on, like you guys got to be better. Like, what was your opinion on it? What was the noise you were hearing down there in Atlanta? Tell me.
I mean, I just think a lot of people were kind of taking it like you. It's just like something just isn't adding up here.
Right.
And look, it's crazy just in general with the Falcons because for so many years it's been pretty good offense, terrible defense, and now it's like the opposite. Their defense is good, the offense you just don't know what you're going to get.
Field goal kickers fire.
I mean, he's basically the MVP of the offense, and it's just like with Bijan, they need to be careful because they have a good thing in them, but I don't want to see them mess it up now and unnecessarily throw them out there. Like you said, it's just like, why do it?
Are they in love with Desmond Ridder?
Yes. They want to prove everybody wrong and that he's an actual starting quarterback. They're dead set on it.
I don't. Maybe he needs more time, but I'm not buying it. And I will tell you that if they want to win, if they traded for Ryan Tannehill and plugged him into Arthur Smith's system, they would have immediate success on offense more than they're having now. Kyle Pitts would start to have more success. He would open up the passing game. Drake London would start to have more success. Who's the other guy they have on those receivers? They brought him. Van
Matt
Jefferson.
Collins and Van Jefferson. Yeah,
they traded for Van Jefferson. Why trade for Van Jefferson? Because you know why? Because Desmond Ridder, he's not going to make that read. He's not going to make that read unless it's the first read. If he's the third read, no shot.
Yep.
So they're gonna. I know he likes to run the ball, and that's Arthur Smith's offense, and I get it. And he's got two good running backs in Algier and Bijan, but they got to get Bijan more involved in the pass game. I think they got to get him. Yep. I don't know if I suspect that Bijan had a late night out in Florida, and coach is covering for his ass. That's what I think, because I don't get it. You're telling me he's Percy Harvin now? Really? Be better, Atlanta.
Yeah.
So we got to get into the next week's games before we run out of time. We got a hard cutoff as we're on Roku. We got to cut off at 8. We want to get into these games. We're gonna go through the games. That's the game on the docket. Buccaneers, Bills. Bills are a 10-point favorite, and the over/under is 43. Are you taking the Bills or the Buccaneers? Bills are in Buffalo.
I think because it's in Buffalo, I would. Plus, there's this weird stat that in the Super Bowl era, Josh Allen is apparently the best quarterback after a loss.
Really?
Who knew? But yeah, I saw that the other day, and I was just like, okay. But so apparently he's really good at bouncing back. And even in that New England game, he started off really bad, got better in the second half. I think with the Bucs team, like the Bucs team that's kind of playing with house money, they weren't expected to do a lot this year. They're just kind of having fun down there. I would be worried about them going up to Buffalo and it turning into a blowout necessarily. But I'll take Buffalo probably convincingly.
Yeah, I would take Buffalo too. I mean, listen, the defense is starting to age in Tampa Bay. They really don't have a running back. They do, but they don't. You got to have Chase Edmonds up there. You got receivers. You got good receivers. They're going to be able to pass the ball. They're going to put some offense on the board. But because the Bills really don't have a good defense going right now because the Matt Milano thing has really hurt them.
Yep.
I believe also who is the cornerback that's been lost for a year? It wasn't Tre'Davious White. Yep. Tre'Davious White. That hurts them. Talk about a team that should be active in the trade market on the defensive side of the ball. They probably saw Kevin Bayard go. They were like, oh my God. They felt like you did waking up in the morning when someone got to that fantasy player you wanted to pick up on the other side of the waiver wire, and you're like, this guy gets up 6:30 in the morning. What a loser! He got to him before me. Anyway,
Right.
Or you're in a league with me, and I'll get up to take a pee at like 4 in the morning, and then get him as soon as waivers run. Like I'm that guy. Like pick them up at 4:30. Anyway, so. Yeah, I'm going Bills on that. Bills, for sure, they're -10. I wouldn't mind taking a -10. I always get nervous when it's a double-digit spread for a backdoor cover, but they're traveling. They're on the road. Bills are coming off a loss. They're pissed off. There's a lot of dissension in there. Something's got to change. So you got some ugly games this week. We got some interesting games. I'm gonna go through some of them. You know, we're gonna go to your Vikings that you think can win the division. We got the Vikings who are favored by 1.5 on the road in Lambeau. 3-4 Vikings versus the 2-4 Packers. Who are you going with here?
I'm going with the Vikings, and I think part of it as well as what Green Bay's kind of turning into, with a lot of the doubt outside the organization now that's got to be seeping in. Jordan Love's probably questioning himself a little bit. I I mean, but you could look at it and say the Vikings coming off an emotional win. There's always that letdown, and wouldn't it be a Kirk Cousins Vikings thing to go up against Green Bay and find a way to lose? But I just think they have some momentum right now. I'm rolling with the Vikings here. Flores is doing a great job with that defense. I think they're going to frustrate Jordan Love and that offense from Green Bay. So yeah, give me the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Vikings too. Jair Alexander, I think, will shut Jordan Addison down. I mean, maybe he doesn't, right? Man, this is a tough game because on the road, I don't know what kind of running game they have. They're gonna have to pass on them, which it's the over under is 41, but I'm gonna go with the Vikings. They're a road favorite, which I'm not a fan of,
Right.
but I'm gonna go with the Vikings. I have a couple games that I think will be upset of the week, but we'll get through some other games here. Saints Colts. Ugh. I mean, no one's excited. Is anybody excited about watching that game? No. Yes. Maybe. Not me.
Basically, just fans of those teams.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's why you guys should make sure the information's accurate because if you're gonna watch it outside of that means you're betting on it.
Yep.
Or fantasy football. So, take it. Football has exploded in popularity because of fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
Exploded. So let's be real, folks. Don't screw over your players. Now, the fantasy players. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who to pick in that Saints Colts game, so that's probably a game I would stay away from. Maybe I would bet a total, but yeah, Saints Colts. I'll probably go with the Saints -1. I don't take the Saints.
I'd probably do the same.
So, an interesting game that I see on the docket is the 5-2 Jaguars versus the 4-2 Steelers. The Jaguars are a 2.5 point favorite on the road in Pittsburgh.
I mean, that is a little telling. They obviously Vegas is loving Jacksonville. I feel like maybe they're doubting the Steelers still. Maybe they want to see a little bit more from them, which I can understand. But
was that all right? So they won, and I know Mike Tomlin's great off the bye. I ain't taking it away from a coach, right? He's a legacy coach, but they beat the Rams. I mean, they're mediocre. The Rams are like vanilla ice cream right now. I mean, come on, they beat the Rams, so they beat them. Some people say they needed help from the refs. Whatever, I still think they beat them. They're 4-2. That Jaguars defense has been playing up the past 2-3 weeks. They've been playing real well. I can't pronounce the dude's name, the linebacker. I'm going to destroy it. You know who I'm talking about, right? Nigerian kid.
I'm not
going to call him the Nigerian prince or something like that. So this guy, it'd be funny if that was his real nickname. This guy, Okolusum, man, that's whatever. Playing real good. They're reportedly in the market for a DN because I don't know if Travon Walker is playing up to his billing. He's been kind of mediocre. I'm surprised by the spread, but I'm not surprised in a sense where I think they can beat them because the Steelers can be passed on. Puka Nacua was eating them alive. I guess they took away Cooper Kupp. I'm gonna go with the Jaguars on the road here. I'm taking the Jags. I know it's wild to me, but listen, they're not I don't think it's an impressive 4-2 by the Steelers. I am doubting them because Kenny Pickett has to show me more. Everybody wants to blame Matt Canada. The Steelers fans are obnoxious with get rid of Matt Canada.
Yes.
And I always say to them, all right, let's say you get a coordinator, you like his game plan. Does that instantly make Kenny Pickett a good quarterback? It doesn't. It doesn't. It's the truth. He's got to take what the defense gives him, not turn over the ball, and not rely on chucking it up to George Pickens because that could be taken away. So,
Well, key for them is Deontay Johnson coming back off of IR. He complements Pickens really well.
true.
So we'll see if that helps him out the next couple of weeks. I mean, John put in the chat that Lawrence might not play. Cause I think Lawrence, doesn't he have like that knee issue or whatever that he keeps talking about, like, oh, I'm fine or whatever.
Yeah, they say that, but
Yeah.
I mean, all indicators keep pointing to he should play. He had a limited practice, but most people say he should play. But if he doesn't play, obviously that's going to change things up. I don't think he's going to miss. I don't think he's going to miss time. I see them running the ball a lot. They've been running the ball with Travis Etienne. He's been using his legs, so he's probably having a knee issue, just like Jalen Hurts is, because he's been using his legs. So, you know, I'm going to go with the Steelers here, but you know, obviously if the quarterbacks change, you change that. So I'll take the Steelers. I mean, I'm sorry, go with the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are the points. We'll rapid fire some of these games. Texans, Panthers.
Texans.
Minus 3.5 Texans. Come on. I mean, the Panthers, like, you guys got, you know, can they win a game this year? They're 0-6. I mean, Jesus.
And Terrace Marshall wants out.
Yeah. And you know what? That's another thing, too, man. Quarterback is receivers dependent on quarterback. I think Terrace Marshall's a quality receiver. If I was a GM, I would buy low on him if I had a good quarterback situation and I put him on my squad. I would buy low on this guy. He was good in college. I think he has the chops. I liked him ever since he come out of college, and I just think he doesn't have it there. And you know, he's probably frustrated. And you know, I would be too. I'm young. I'm trying to establish myself as a receiver, and I'm seeing it like being ripped from in front of me. And like he's probably looking at like they got old man Thielen here. Like, give me a break. So I mean, Thielen's doing well, but I'm buying him. If I'm a receiver needy team, I'm buying him. But the thing is, you need a good quarterback, right? So people. We'll get to these guys later. People say that, oh, the Giants just need receivers. No, they need a quarterback. You can put all the best receivers you want on the world there. I'm not buying it. So, you got the two top picks versus each other. Wait, CJ Stroud was the second pick? Or was he like the sixth pick? I can't remember. I know the Texans flopped it. I called that trade on the air. That they would trade.
Yes, you did. I remember that. Yeah.
Total luck, but I had a feeling. But all right. So, rapid fire that game. Blah blah blah. Cowboys, Rams. Rams are 6.5 point underdogs. I mean, okay. I don't know where to go with that one. Cowboys are 4-2. Rams, are, you know, like I said, they are vanilla.
Stroud was second pick. John said.
Yeah. So it's the 1 and 2 picks. All right, cool. Thank you, John. I'm gonna go with. I'll go with the Cowboys to win, but I would probably take the points of the Rams. I think it might be a little closer than people think.
I can see that. I mean, it's the Brandon Cooks revenge game. That's like every week though. He's been everywhere.
Everywhere. Who doesn't he get revenge on?
Exactly. I'd probably go with the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, we'll say the Eagles for last. We'll say the Patriots for last. We got Jets, Giants. We got the upstate
Battle of New York.
The battle. Well, I'm going to call it the Battle of New Jersey because that's where that damn place is. But Jets are minus 3.5, even with Zach Wilson at the helm. I'm going with the Jets. I think Tyrod Taylor comes back down to earth in that defense with Sauce Gardner back. They're not moving the ball nowhere this week. And Saquon Barkley, you're going to be getting hit. You better put some extra padding on. Falcons, Titans. Sorry, Jerry, no one cares about the game, but I'm going Falcons at minus 2.5. I think that might be a gift right now with Will Levis starting at quarterback. So if they're giving you minus 2.5 right now, the Falcons, I'm taking it. It's
in Tennessee, so we'll see. Because Atlanta, like I said, on the road, they just look like a completely different team. Maybe Levis hits, I don't know, lightning in the bottle first game, starts throwing it all around the field, and Falcons just don't know what to do. But yeah, against that Falcons defense, I don't know if I'm buying into Will Levis this week. So yeah, I'll probably go with the Falcons.
I got a couple spreads here that are interesting to me, and I think they're upsets, and I'd be willing to put money on the plus money line. Browns, Seahawks. I know PJ Walker starting. Mm-hmm. Seahawks are not really that impressive to me. Look at who they beat. Look at the teams they've had trouble with. They're 4-2. The Browns are 4-2. You're getting plus 3.5 with the Browns, and it's a plus 164 money line. I'm taking the Browns for the upset in Seattle. I think that defense has the opportunity to be special. and I think they will get after Geno Smith. No DK Metcalf. You got Jackson Smith and Jigga and Popo. What's his name? Justin Popo? That guy that made the real good catch?
Oh, Bobo, yes. Seahawks fans
Bobo.
are all about Bobo. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Bobo ain't going to lead you past the Browns. That defense is nasty. Myles Garrett is going to make it a nightmare for him. Another one. Now, Sam Darnold, looks like he's starting.
Yeah.
They got the Bengals at 4.5-point road underdogs.
It's wild.
Plus 140. I'm going to bet my mortgage on that after I get out of here. Dude. All right, I get it. The Niners are good. This is my thing. This is recent. Maybe they're trying to draw people in. Listen, maybe Shanahan sees something. Remember, he thinks Sam Darnold, Steve Young, you can get your wish, buddy. But hopefully he don't see ghosts from Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard, right? Because they could get after the quarterback. And you're going to tell me that Kirk Cousins and Jordan Addison's good. He's a rookie. That you're going to tell me that Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, if he's back, Tyler Boyd will be there. Trent Irwin, I know he showed pretty well so far. Joe Mixon aren't going to be able to get after it on the Niners. What? Because they're in San Francisco. Man, give me the points with the Bengals and the Niners for their third loss in a row. Plus 140. Bet the money line. Bet the spread. That's wild to me. I mean, I'm hoping that's a mistake or it's not, because I think that's a gift. What do you think it's a gift, Kyle? I think it's a gift.
Yeah, especially since the Bengals actually looked good offensively the past couple of weeks. It's not like
coming off a bye.
Yeah, it's not like this is the first couple of weeks where you're like, what's going on with this offense? Like, this team is starting to round into form. So yeah, I agree. I'm all over the Bengals on this one.
Yeah, we got Bears, Chargers.
Chargers better win. We'll say
they better win. If they get beat by Tyson Bagent, even the Spanos might fire Staley that night. But which is the most reaching nickname ever. 00 Bagent, 008, 00. Stop.
I mean, yeah.
Ravens, Cardinals. We're gonna go Ravens. They're 9.5-point road favorites. I mean, Kyler Murray might be back. That's a rumor. He's been doing full practices. I mean, does that change that up? We'll see. But as of right now, if it sits, I'm going with the Ravens at, minus 9.5. Chiefs, Broncos. I'm going to go with the Chiefs, obviously, but listen. Broncos looked better last week.
They did? Yep.
I think they're rounding in form. The coach is starting to figure it out. I could be wrong, but they did look better. There's obviously a chemistry between Cortland Sutton and Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Javonte Williams looked better.
Yep.
Breaking tackles. He had most of the snaps. If you could run on the Chiefs, which you can, that might be an upset to consider. I'm not saying do it, but if you buy some points back and maybe do plus 10 plus 10 Broncos, might be able to get it. I don't know. That's something where I wouldn't be surprised. Remember, there's one game a year that the Chiefs lose. We're like, how the hell did that happen? This could be that game. I'm trying to find it. I could be wrong. So, that bet is not for the week, my friends. Do not bet your last dollar on that. Okay.
Yes.
Last game we're going to get to is Raiders, Lions. Lions 7.5. They're trying to draw you into that bet with that little jerk off hook, making it 7.5 points, but I still think they cover. They're going to be at home. They play better at home. The Raiders are reeling. I mean, the reports are they lost the locker room over there. The players hate Josh McDaniels. I don't see this playing out for them.
I feel like it's going to be a rumor every week. If they lose, the locker room hates them. If they win, they'll be like, "Oh, inspirational." So yeah, I'm not picking the Raiders on this one. No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, they got mollywopped last week, the Lions, and I think they're going to come back and do it to the Raiders. I mean, listen, Josh Jacobs has aged before our eyes. You could say it's the offensive line, but he's not breaking tackles. Look up the stats, man. He's breaking tackles at the lowest clip of his career. He is his average per yard carry. Listen, man, Zamir White, he might be getting more touches than you think. And if I were the Raiders, I would do it. If someone's stupid enough to trade for him, I would do it as well. But Josh Jacobs, I think the wheels are falling off that bus and they're rusty. I'm taking the Lions. I think they should win, no problem at all. Any last thoughts?
No. Great show.
Great show. Catch us next week. Gene will be back. It's a birthday. Happy birthday, Gene. And we'll see you back next week. This is the Godfrey and the Prince of Production, Kyle Edwards. Not saying goodbye, just saying See you next week.
Yep. Good night.